Hello, I'm Todd Hood, Chief Privacy Officer with the County of San Diego, and I'm glad to be able to speak with you today. As the County of San Diego Chief Privacy Officer, I have the initial duties of protecting and safeguarding the data that our citizens and our employees entrust us with, personal information. So we do that through policies and procedures, as well as training for our employees and any system users, as well as monitoring our compliance to those policies and procedures. And then, of course, if there are issues, we get involved in investigating those issues, remediating, and addressing any potential harm that may have or may be concerned to affect any individuals. In addition to my role as Chief Privacy Officer, I'm also responsible for our compliance to the Americans with Disabilities Act. And that basically ensures that our citizens have access to programs, services, and activities, regardless of their abilities, whether they be physical, mental, emotional, etc. On a daily basis, I am on the phone. I'm on the phone and on the computer, but the role and the activities, the tasks vary each day. New emails come in or new phone calls come in with whether it be complaints or inquiries about our compliance to activities or compliance to policies, et cetera, whether it be laws, regulations, or our own county policies. And I actually operate within our Office of Ethics and Compliance. So we ensure, in addition to my role, we have a chief ethics officer as well as a chief compliance officer. And we try to ensure that our employees are aware of and abide by the policies and procedures that we have as it relates to compliance and ethics. Was graduated with a bachelor's of industrial engineering, and then also did an MBA at the University of Southern California. Fight on Trojans. But my MBA was in international finance. So I have a diverse background in education as well as in work experience. I've worked in financial services. Over the past 15 years, I've worked in three different, well now four sectors of privacy and data protection. I was in healthcare, as well as I mentioned, financial services, and as a third-party service provider to healthcare and to financial institutions, as well as currently in the public sector. I have to say that the theme with my career and really my lifestyle is about change. It is to not beholden to your past and to let your future be determined by your capabilities and your interest in the future. So one thing that I always recommend to my proteges and anyone that I'm speaking with is to keep your options open. Make sure that your past shows that you are an A-team player, regardless of whether it's on a volunteer basis or if it's in a paid position. Always take full advantage of your talents and your skills to provide the best outcome that you can provide. And serve your customers. Look at all the people that you're working with as a customer and serve them to your highest ability. And then you will be called upon in the future to service others. And it is a cycle of success is how I call it, where if you work really hard, you're going to enjoy the achievements and the things that you're going to learn, and you're going to get a great reputation on that, and then you'll be able to do more. So I've worked, as I mentioned, for in financial institutions, a auto manufacturer, in consumer products manufacturer as engineers, and then as well as I mentioned, in financial services as a consultant, etc. One of the things that I spoke with my mother on, who is one of my advisors. You always have to have an advisory board. And one of the things was that she said, well, Todd, you've had so many different jobs. What are you going to do next? And I told her, I said, well, Mom, just like you had one role that you provided in cosmetology and hairstyling, but she held several roles and activities there. She was an instructor. She was a cosmetologist. She was a salon owner, and she was a regulator in cosmetology. So I let her know that there's a variety of things that we can do in our careers, although we may provide that in a variety of different roles. So my task in life is as a change agent. So everywhere I go, I look for opportunities to bring a better solution, to be, whether it's out of efficiency, whether it's out of effectiveness, cost effectiveness, to whether it's out of ease and simplification for the employees, or a better outcome as it relates to the ability to safeguard personal information. I've tell people that every day of my life, I've done the same thing, and that is help to effect change. Well, I say for students to, even though you're busy with your coursework, to also take advantage of volunteer opportunities, professional associations. And don't just be a belonger, be a believer, be a leader. Take advantage of the opportunity to if you know so much, I have said this to myself, if you know so much about what someone else should be doing, then why don't you put in the work and see if what you know is the right solution? Sometimes I've found that it is. Many times I've found that it's not. So those times that I find that it's not, those are learning opportunities. So when you take advantage of volunteer and professional association leadership opportunities, you will, as well as pad your resume with great experience, great leadership experience, you will learn things that you may not learn in your career for decades. For instance, putting together a budget, to establish a budget for an on-campus activity, or creating a program that never existed before. But because of you and your creativity and your perspective, you established something that was never even envisioned. And you get the opportunity to uh, relate and understand the lessons that you learned trying to sell that idea to a bunch of naysayers, but also to be able to communicate what you did, the challenges that you had, and what you learned to potential employers. And that goes a long way. It goes a lot longer than the difference between a 3.75, a 4.0, and a 4.25. When you can show that you've been a leader far before you came into the role that you're seeking for your potential employer. Another thing, a piece of advice that I would say is when you are speaking to a potential employer, and that can be for a summer internship after your freshman year, your sophomore year, your junior year. When you're interviewing, take it, take that interview as an opportunity to advise and pretend that your potential employer is seeking advice from you for the role that you are interviewing. So in order to do that, you need to know a lot about the company. You need to know a lot about the role that you are seeking. And you need to know about the pain points that the company is experiencing that you in that role can assist with. So long story short, do your homework, not just your homework for your courses, but also your homework for your interviews.